Hi guys. In today's episode of webinar, we are going to talk about how to use humor to enhance learning and engagement. Before we start, I'll introduce myself. I'm Rishabh and I recently joined Learnyst as a digital marketer, and I'll be taking care of today's webinar. We'll just wait for 2 minutes and we'll start. Hi guys. So we are going to start now. Let's quickly understand why this topic or why this why this topic is important for any educator or any creator who is on the platform or who is uh, you know giving education to learners out there. Right now, humor is a essential term, but people might be confused as to, is humor really important when it comes to infusing humor into education. For that, that's one of the reasons why I have chose this topic, for you to understand and for you to give an idea of how you can use humor to understand and enhance the learning and engagement experience of your learners. So to start off with, we'll be covering four main agendas here. The first one is understanding the science behind humor and learning. Right now, how science is involved in understanding that how humor and learning can go hand in hand. Now the next one is building connections through humor, how you can build connections with your learners through humor. Now, and the third one is techniques for infusing humor. Now you might want to add humor to your content or the lessons that you're teaching to the learners, but you're confused as to how you can infuse the humor. So we'll be talking about the techniques as well. The fourth one is humor for engagement and participation, how you can use humor for student engagement and student participation. Let's quickly start off with the science behind humor and learning. Now, it's scientifically proven that humor can stimulate dopamine release, and it helps enhancing memory retention. Right now, we have the understanding that humor is very essential, and it helps a person release certain dopamine, and it also helps in memory retention. So we are using this humor to make sure that the courses or the lessons that are giving to our students, we use humor so as to they can enhance basically the lessons that we're giving them. It will basically help them retain those lessons for a longer period of time. So the first point is encourages creative thinking, social interaction, and positive and emotional experience. So as I said, humor will not only stimulate dopamine, it will also help the students to create, it will also help a positive environment, which is very important, and will help the students to encourage creative thinking when it comes to your courses, or when you're giving any assignment or test. So the students they are encouraged to think creatively. It also helps in social interaction, that is interactions between students in class. They can basically interact with you freely. They have no fear of whether to ask you a certain doubt or not. So humor also helps you have a positive environment and a free environment where they can socially interact. The second point is that our brain interprets humor as a reward experience. So it's scientifically proven again that our brain interprets humor as a rewarding experience. Like, you feel happy when you laugh when you come across a humorous situation or a humorous situation. So that way your brain thinks that, okay, this situation is positive and I'm enjoying this situation, which acts as a rewarding experience. So including this humor in your courses will help the learners, the students, feel that, okay, this is something I'm enjoying and this is something I want to do further as well. So this will also help them feel more interested towards the course or the lesson that you're providing to them. Humor can stimulate dopamine, enhance memory retention, and create positive emotional association. As I mentioned earlier, humor releases a certain amount of dopamine, which is very essential for humans to either pay attention or interaction with the educators in the class. It enhances memory retention and create a positive emotional association between the students and educator. The last point is contributes to better information retention and engagement amongst learners. So again, as I said, it helps in engaging amongst the learner, not just amongst learners and educators, but amongst learners as well. Next, building connections through humor. Now you must be questioning as to how you can build connection through humor, how you can use humor to your benefit to make sure that you get all the advantages you can from your course, including humor. So the first one could be icebreaker jokes, where you introduce. So icebreaker jokes are basically when let's say there's a room full of strangers who don't know each other. So you have an icebreaker session where you introduce yourself and you talk about your likes, dislikes, or what's common between all of you all. So that way, when you enter a class or when you're starting your course, a new course or a new class, have an icebreaker joke that could help students understand and have a free environment where they could feel motivated to learn. The second one is funny analogies. Now, what we can do here is that analogies is a situation that you give, that you use as an example to explain a certain point. I'll be explaining about this in the next slide. The third one is student participation challenges, where you can give challenges to students to motivate them to participate, to encourage them to participate in quizzes or any games that you want to play in the class. The last one is unexpected pop culture references, which is pretty much self-explanatory. Now, I'll give an example of funny analogy. This situation is that it's a visual explaining slide explaining the concept of supply and demand, right? Now, humorous effect element is that there's a seesaw with products on one side and consumers on the other, illustrating a balance, so that you could teach them demand and supply kind of a concept. Right now, if the consumers are here and the demand is on this side, and if the consumers are on the if the consumer sides of the seesaw is on the top, then we know that the supply is more than the demand. But if the demand side of the seesaw is on the top, then we know that the demand is more than the consumers that are there in the market. So this is one of the ways where you could explain your educators and they could quickly understand the concept that you're trying to tell them. Now, the effect is that student grasp the analogy quickly and chuckle at the creative representation. And as I said, humor acts as a rewarding experience, so they would also feel motivated and they'll feel happy giving an example like this. They'll feel more interested and their attention span would also be more compared to just theory. And the third one is techniques for infusing humor. Now, I've told you the ways you can introduce humor and why humor is important, but now you must be thinking that how do I infuse humor? What are the techniques in which I can infuse humor to my courses or my lessons? So the first one is integrate humor in your lessons, presentations, and course content. Now, as I added a slide that explained the seesaw, you can add certain slides or certain videos that could go hand in hand with your lesson or your course that is also humorous. So you could do that, and you can add that in your course content so that it engages the students and they understand. Now, the power of analogies, metaphor, and storytelling with a humorous twist to simplify concepts. Now, the concept that I chose, supply and demand, it's pretty simple, so it was easy to understand. But complex topic or complex concept, which might be difficult to understand in theoretical ways, is how you can use the power of analogies and metaphors to basically a way of storytelling the learners that as to how you can basically better understand. So that way humor can also act as a very important tool. Now, the last one is selecting appropriate visual and memes or videos that align the subject and add a touch of fun. For this, I'll be giving an example again for better understanding, and it's a pretty known example. Like you might have seen this example, but it's just 1 minute, so I would want you to see it again, right? So quickly moving on to the next one. So this is one of the just giving you a quick reference. This is from the movie Tare Zameen Par, and this is one scene where Ishan Awasthi, the main character, was finding difficulty solving a problem, and he in his brain came up with this animation where he's trying to solve the math equation, and let's see how that goes.
बिंदास कैप्टन ईशान, मिशन इंपॉसिबल पे निकला। उसका मिशन सूरज से तीसरे प्लैनेट अर्थ को खींचकर सोलर सिस्टम के 9 प्लैनेट प्लूटो में इंटू कर देना है। 3 into 9 बीप 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 ईशान की हिमालय पकड़ को पिघला देगा। बचा लियो। हाय जुपिटर।
So as I could see here, though the answer that Ishana Masti got was obviously wrong, what my goal was to explain you all how you could use certain animation videos, memes, or certain visuals to basically better understand or to basically help students better understand the concepts. Now if you could see or if you could watch yourself throughout the video, you had your entire attention in the video. Though you know that the answer might be wrong, or though you knew the answer, you wanted to see what happens till the end, right? So that's how humor or visual elements can increase the attention span of the learners and students. So it will keep them throughout the course, throughout the lesson, and at the end they can basically help better understand them. Now you must be thinking, but how do you use such good visuals or such good animation? For that we have various AI tools that you could use to create animations like this. But it's not necessary that you have to create videos to infuse humor. You can also use memes or visuals or any reference that's available on the internet that has visual element or video element or any kind of visual element to it. You can use that, so that also works. Now the fourth one is humor for engagement and participation. Now that you have understood the importance of humor, you have understood how you can include humor in the courses and the techniques of how you could include the humor, let us understand how you can engage and participate with the learners, amongst the learners, with the learners using humor. The first one is creative interactive activities. Like I said, you can have quizzes, or you can have challenges amongst student challenges, participation challenges amongst the learners, where every time a learner wins, or every time a learner gets wins a challenge, he or she might get a certain reward or something. That way it could also help them performing better and understanding the concept better. Collaborative and dynamic online classroom environment. Like I said, humor creates a very positive environment, and not just that, it also motivates and encourages students and learners to for the social interaction amongst them, which in end creates a collaborative and dynamic online classroom environment. In the end, encouraging students to contribute actively. So if the students are motivated, if the students are encouraged, if there's a positive and a socially interactive environment that's already created through humor, then it's very easy for students to contribute actively to your courses as well. So it will be easier for you to encourage them to contribute to the courses. Now that you know all of this, why should you care? Like, why is again the question. Why should you include humor in the course or in the lessons that you are providing to your learners? Firstly, it bridges the gap between educators and learners. Second, it activates brain's reward center. As I said again and again, humor for humor acts as a rewarding experience. So it will activate the reward center of the brain. It will give a positive experience to the learner, and it will make sure that the course or lesson that you're teaching them has attention span or the information retention for a long period of time. It will help them to retain the information that you have been given through your lessons or courses for a longer period of time. And the next one, it increases student engagement. Humor increases student engagement through various collaborations or participation challenges amongst the learners, with the learners and educator. It increases engagement. Students are motivated to engage in the class and again throughout the class. It creates a positive and inclusive atmosphere. All this point leads to one last and one main thing. What humor does, it is that it creates a positive and inclusive atmosphere. If you use humor in your courses or lessons, students feel a emotional connection, or feel that they can interact with you and they can socially interact with you, and they can feel free to ask any doubts or whatsoever that is, and it acts as an icebreaker session. So that way it creates a positive atmosphere amongst you on your online classes, amongst you and the students, and it helps in creating an inclusive atmosphere where the student is motivated to include themselves in the activities or participation challenges or any quiz or mock test that you are providing them. Mock test and quiz, of course, are again an important element of online classes. So humor can help the students feel more inclusive of giving the mock test or quiz or participating actively in those mock test and quiz. So that way humor plays an important role for an educator. with that being said, this was why you should use humor and how you can use humor to enhance your learning and engagement experience. If you guys have any doubts, I'll be right here. I'm checking the chat box. If you guys have any doubts, you can quickly ask in the chat box and I'll answer them. Yeah, alright guys, I see that none of you all have any questions, and I feel great that I was able to explain it well, I think. So yeah, thank you for watching till the end, and if you have reached till here, don't forget to subscribe Learnyst for many more webinars and informational webinars